Hi, friends. It's Jillian Harrington, energy intuitive and dabbler in all things woo. And I'm here today to talk to you about spirit guides. Funny enough, why am I talking to you about spirit guides? Because they told me to. That's true. I talk to my guides regularly, I have for many years. And yeah, I find that when I listen to them, it's better for all of us. And I want to help you learn how you can talk to your guides and even listen to them so that you can live a life that is more on point and so that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Get the help that's out there from that magical universe to live a more abundant, beautiful, brilliant life. Okay, so what am I talking about? What are spirit guides? Simply put, they are beings from the other dimension or the afterlife or heaven, perhaps, whatever you want to call it. But essentially, they are souls, just like we are, but they're not in physical form. And every one of us has at least one and actually multiple guides that work with us throughout our entire life. So we have a guide that is with us from the time that we're born. They're actually helping us before we even incarnate into our physical body to help us plan out our lives and to help us be like, you say, oh, I want to do this and this and this. And the guide is like, you think that's a great idea, but once you get into form, you might not like that idea. And you say, but I think I want to do it anyway. And they're like, okay, fine, you can do it. Sure. I'll be there beside you to help you as you deal with the challenges that come your way. So they are with you to help you navigate life and to keep you safe and also to help you deal with whatever challenges you're dealing with. That said, they can't just jump in and do things for you. They don't baby you. You are a powerful being and you get to do whatever you want to do in your life. And they're kind of there being like, all right, you're going to do that? Okay. Um, but if you ask them for their help, they go, okay, thank you. Thank you. I really want to help you here. So this is what I recommend, or this is what I would do. But they respect your autonomy. They respect you making your own choices. So they're not going to jump in like a hovering parent and try to do it for you, because then you miss the whole point of life and how to live a life full of challenges and odd experiences and a variety of other things that you might encounter along the way that you need for the evolution of your soul. These things all help you even when they're hard. In fact, they help you the most when they're hard, because I don't know about you, but that's when I'm like, okay, I really better learn this because I don't want to go through this anymore. We become better people through the challenges. So the guide is the person there along the way that just helps you make the most of what you're experiencing. I've been into woo woo things my whole life, pretty much. Even as a little child, I remember watching all of the psychic movies on TV. And I was like, I want to be able to read magical cards. Like, I wish I was psychic. Little did I know that we all are. It's just a muscle we have to exercise. That could be in a different video if you want to learn how to be more intuitive. Put it in the comments below and I'll make a video about it. So in all of my studies and learnings, I learned about these guides. Sometimes you think about them as guardian angels, spirit guides, etc. So I started talking to them. I didn't know if this was real or not, but I was just yapping away at them, asking for help, talking about what I'm dealing with, etc. I like to talk. So that's how that works. So I would talk to them out loud. Sometimes I'd also just talk to them in my mind. And oddly, when I would talk to them out loud as I was going to sleep, I would fall asleep. I don't know what it is, but I would just like fall asleep. They'd be like, shut up, Jillian. We don't want to hear it. I don't know. Or maybe that my energy just got into like a sort of way and I just conked out. But as much as I was yapping at them, I didn't really hear anything until one day. So there I was, sitting on the toilet, as one is when one gets spiritual revelations. I was about to go to Peru for 2 months by myself. I had created a study abroad plan and I was taking Spanish, and my Spanish was awful. And here I was being thrown into the wilderness, and I was terrified. So I was sitting there on the toilet, and a voice came into my head, and it said, you're going to know more Spanish than other people at the school that you're studying at, because I was going to be studying at a Spanish language school to help me with my Spanish. So they were like, no, you're going to be fine. Your Spanish is actually going to be pretty advanced. And I was like, well, that's not true, because I've been studying Spanish with a teacher for a while and my Spanish is horrible. I'm going to get to this country where people don't speak English and I'm going to drown. But I was like, that was weird, because that wasn't something that I was thinking, that voice in my head. And so I thought, okay. Well, as it turned out, when I got to Peru and I went to the class and they tested me, they put me in the highest class. And my Spanish was actually pretty good for what you would expect, for somebody who wasn't native in Spanish. I got along just fine. So that was the first time that I was like, oh, I heard something. That was actually not from me. And it was very nice to hear that, because it provided some comfort and some solace as I went into this terrifying journey. And since then, I still talk to them all the time and I check in with them. And sometimes I get messages and sometimes I don't. I will ask them for help all of the time. When my computer isn't working, is this true? I'm like, hey, could you make this work? I really need to just get this done right now. And this is really frustrating me. Or when I'm driving around. Earlier today, I did it. I went to a coffee shop, and the first coffee shop, every seat was taken. So I went to another coffee shop and I said, okay, guys, I just need a table to sit down on. I got into the place, I looked around, all the tables were filled. By the time I picked up my coffee order, there was one table just perfect and ready for me. I love it because it's a way for me to have a little bit of magic in my life, right? I often feel like I have to do everything on my own and I have to push through everything. It's really wonderful to have somebody that's got my back, that I can ask for help, that I don't have to do things on my own. And that's what I really want for you too. I want you to have help as well. You don't have to do this on your own. Life is really hard. I don't know about you, but I think life is bonkers. It is really, really hard. And I cannot tell you how often I just am so appreciative that I'm not really alone in living it, that there is somebody who understands what I'm dealing with, who understands what I'm struggling with, and who is there to help me, who understands me, who appreciates me, and who loves me. Don't we all want that in our life? Okay, so how can you get started with working with your spirit guides? Well, honestly, just start talking to them. You can talk to them out loud if you're a verbal person and that works for you. There is a little bit more power when you're actually speaking out loud, because you're adding like more vibration and energy to it. That said, not a requirement. You can also think thoughts in your head. You can think to them. It's telepathy, baby. You get to communicate telepathically with your guides. Our thoughts are vibrations, they go out. When you die, when you go into the afterlife, you will find that everybody communicates there telepathically. It's just a part of who you are. You already know how to do it. It's just being in physical form that you think you can't. So telepathically communicate to them. Just ask. Just ask questions. Ask for help. Ask for little things, right? It doesn't have to be big things. Ask for just like a parking spot. Ask for somebody that you haven't talked to in a while to give you a call. Just ask your guides for help, or talk to them about what you're dealing with and ask them how you can help overcome this, for them to bring you things into your life to help you deal with those challenges. Maybe you're always stressed about work. I know I am. Just ask your guides, can you help me so that I can transform this experience that I'm having? And you're going to find that various different things come into your reality, whether it's an article, whether it's something that a friend shares with you, maybe it's an event that it happens that you get invited to. Be open. You never know what's coming your way. That, I think, is where you start, is just to simply start talking to them. But I bet you want to know how you can hear them, because it is really great. And also, right, there's a lot of junk that goes on in our head. How do we know if it's our guides talking to us or if it's like our brain monster, our ego, all of that stuff that happens in our head that tells us that we're not good enough? Okay, well, first of all, your guide is a wonderful, beautiful being who loves you so much and supports you. They're never going to say anything negative, critical, something that's causing you to do harm or not take care of yourself. If you're hearing anything that is of that nature, you'll know already that that is not your guide. That's just the brain monster. But other than that, I also find there's a different quality to what my guides sound like. So I would just start paying attention to the thoughts in your head and how they kind of sound, how they feel, even maybe where they seem to be in your brain. For me, when I hear from my guides, it feels like it comes like right here, this way. It also doesn't feel like me. It just has a different tone to it. Also, it can have a sense of like a knowing. There can be a sense of just like a certainty to it. Also, sometimes it's even not coming in words. Sometimes it comes in a feeling, and then I like transform it into words. And perhaps, I don't know, maybe sometimes this is my higher self. That's possible too. I'll take whatever. It isn't so important for me to like categorize everything, but to know that I am receiving divine help and that my life gets to be more awesome because of it. Now, there are different types of intuition, right? There's like visual intuition, there's a knowing intuition, there's auditory intuition, there's feeling intuition. So we often get told that seeing things is how psychic information is supposed to come to us. But that is often not the case for a lot of us. So for me, one of my ways of having intuition is a knowing. So that's why like I said, I get that information from a knowing. However, you might receive that information differently. It might be through a feeling, it might be through a sound, it might be something visual. So I would also pay attention to just different ways that you might receive or perceive information. But if dealing with words in your head is a little overwhelming to you or a little scary, you can also try writing. And I do this because now we live in a world where we type things, but you could also write like this, whatever works. Um, you can get a journal and do automatic writing. I personally, if I'm doing automatic writing, I like to do it on the keyboard and let it be whatever it is. Just be open to it. I think it's very common for us to put a lot of judgment and we need to do this right. It doesn't, you have to do things wrong before you can do things right. You have to stumble a bit before you run. I often like the metaphor of, when you turn on a faucet and you haven't run water in a long time, and the first part of the water that comes out is kind of brown, but then if you run it long enough, it becomes clear. A lot of things are like that. And anytime that you're doing something that's bringing in new energy, it can be like that too. Just keep on practicing it until that water gets clear and you hear it or know it or feel it or read it, right? More regularly. So just type, just write, just let it come through you and pay attention to it. I wouldn't say that you have to take action on it. I would say do it for a little while and see if something feels right or not right. Just see how it ends up playing out. I would just enter it with a sense of play and curiosity. And when you do that, I would also say be very intentional about it. Make sure before you start writing who you want to hear from. I would also say do something that gives you a sense of protection. So imagine like there's a beautiful wall of light or love around you and be like, hey, only good beings can come in here, so that you know that you're bringing in your people. So as I said at the beginning, you have a being that works with you throughout your life, but you don't just have one being. You have people that are working with you, beings that are working with you on a variety of different topics. And some come into your life for just a set period of time to help you with something, and then they'll leave again, right? So it's like you've got a team of people working with you. That also means you can hire help. You can ask for a guide that maybe specializes in something particular. So let's say you're learning how to play the guitar. Well, you could ask your guides or the universe for another guide that will come in and help you learn how to play the guitar. So when I was learning energy healing, actually we did this as part of the class. We brought in guides to help us with energy healing. And this was really hilarious. So I hired myself an energy guide, and he clearly was a mechanic because the information that I kept on receiving when I was doing energy healings on people was about cars. It was all very much about like changing the oil and looking under the hood. Like that was the information I was getting. And the funny thing about that is that at the time I didn't have a car and I had never owned a car. And I'm like, what is this that I've got a guide that is a mechanic? It was really weird and funny, but I liked it. I had fun with it. I don't work with that guide anymore. I had the feeling that they were also learning how to work with people on energy healing, so we were both learning together. Who knows what kind of a guide you're going to have and what kind of information? You might be surprised. Just be open to play and having fun. All right, friends, that's the down and dirty about how to work with spirit guides. In the end, I just want you to have fun with it, play with it. You don't have to take it seriously. You don't even have to believe in it, right? Perhaps it's even just a part of you that you're lighting up to help open yourself up to more things in the world. I don't know. I don't have all the scientific answers, but I do know that you don't have to be alone in the world. You are not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. That sounded kind of creepy. I mean it in a good way. You have friends, you have help, you have beings that want you to be a beautiful, bright being in the world, that want you to succeed, and that really, truly want you to be happy. So use their help. Be open to help and ask for it and play. Enjoy yourself. And it's just another tool in your toolkit to help you bring a little magic into your life.